Over a dozen Chinese doctoral students studying in the U.S. have been expelled. Chinese woman carrying $250,000 in cash intercepted exiting the country, sparking heated discussion. Tourists shock at unfinished building homestay in Luoyang. Owner's response sparks controversy. Chinese medical insurance costs double, leading to a non-payment tide. Party lines at the box office. Chinese cinemas reserve select positions for party members only. It's all covered in today's China Truths. Over a dozen Chinese doctoral students studying in the U.S. have been expelled. The American Association for the Advancement of Science, AAAS, reported in early March that, over the past 3 months, more than 10 Chinese doctoral students holding valid U.S. visas were refused entry into the U.S. upon returning from visits home and were immediately deported. Some students were also banned from re-entering the U.S. for 5 years. The reasons for the students' entry refusals are unclear. Their schools are currently trying to assist them in returning to complete their studies and obtain their degrees. Zhang Junjie, a Chinese student studying in the U.S., said, "Under the current confrontation between China and the U.S., along with the trend of Chinese infiltration, more and more U.S. universities and the U.S. government are increasing their precautions against Chinese students. The main impact is on those in the sciences and engineering, especially those involved in high-precision technologies, where the U.S. government has increased its precautions." Analysts suggest that there must be special reasons for the refusal of entry to these few students out of the nearly 290,000 Chinese students studying in the U.S. Wu Xiaoping, a human rights lawyer in the U.S., commented, "One possibility is that these students were involved in activities unrelated to their studies, which were captured by relevant U.S. departments. Another is that their field of study may involve high-tech technologies that the U.S. does not want them to master for the service of the CCP. There's also a possibility that there were issues with their visa applications, such as being CCP members and hiding this from the U.S. Such actions can even lead to criminal charges in the U.S. for fraud." At a rally held at Yale University, some students anonymously shared their experiences. One Chinese female student underwent 50 hours of interrogation at Washington Dulles International Airport in December last year before being told by U.S. customs officials to purchase a ticket back to Beijing. Wu Xiaoping stated, "The U.S. has a very advanced intelligence system, and for national security needs, conducting special inquiries into these students is not excessive. Indeed, many students studying and working in the U.S. may harbor sympathies for the CCP and lack an appreciation for democratic and free values, making their presence in the U.S. inappropriate." In May 2020, then U.S. President Trump issued a proclamation banning Chinese students and researchers with ties to the Chinese military from entering the U.S. Public data shows that from 2020 to 2021, at least 2,964 individuals had their entry visas revoked or denied. In 2022, the number of denied visas was 1,764. On January 4, 2024, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Wang Wenbin revealed that in recent months, dozens of Chinese individuals, including students, have been forcibly repatriated by the U.S. each month. Chinese woman carrying $250,000 in cash intercepted exiting the country, sparking heated discussion. As China's economy and political situation continue to deteriorate, the flight of capital is accelerating. Recently, a Chinese woman carrying $250,000 was intercepted by customs while exiting Zhuhai, sparking heated discussion. According to a customs announcement on March 11, at approximately 10:50 p.m. on March 4, at the Gongbei port of entry on the Zhuhai-Macau border, a mainland woman surnamed Xia was intercepted while exiting through the undeclared channel. Customs officials found several bundles of US dollar bills in her handbag and some cash in her jacket pocket, totaling $250,000, equivalent to about 1.8 million yuan, exceeding the regulated amount. Ms. Xia was not only administratively penalized but also had the excess cash confiscated. The news sparked widespread debate among mainland netizens, with many questioning why there would be restrictions on moving their own money, expressing confusion and frustration over the perceived control over personal funds. Some netizens identified the situation as a form of capital flight, commonly referred to as ant moving house, indicating that the practice of transferring money out of the country in small amounts is a widespread tactic to circumvent regulations. Before this, Chinese media reported that on February 14, a Mr. Xia, pseudonym, returning to Europe was entrusted by an acquaintance to carry 100,000 yuan in cash. He was intercepted while exiting Shanghai. As China's economy continues to slide and the yuan's exchange rate falls, government regulation has become increasingly strict. Many Chinese wealthy individuals, fearing falling into the government's common prosperity trap, are using various methods to secretly take large amounts of cash out of the country to build a second home abroad. On November 14, 2023, the Australian Sydney Morning Herald reported that the CCP's crackdown on private enterprises, geopolitical tensions, and the CCP leadership's push for common prosperity have caused panic among China's wealthy and even middle-class citizens. China's wealthy are using complete strangers to secretly take cash out of the country. The report says that many Chinese wealthy individuals are willing to entrust their life savings to a group of strangers they met through online social platforms to move their assets overseas. Phoebe, a 32-year-old Chinese woman, recently smuggled about 1 million yuan, approximately $210,000, out of the country. Due to privacy and legal issues, Phoebe did not reveal her full name. She described the process, first having to transfer the money into the account of a Chinese service provider. A few hours later, her separate account in Hong Kong received fragmented remittances from 10 individuals, one of whom deposited the equivalent of $2,000 in cash through an ATM. Despite losing many freedoms under CCP control, Phoebe said, Hong Kong still allows her to go anywhere once she has cash. In an October 2023 interview with Epoch Times, Liang Xiaohua, a former chief compliance officer at a mainland asset management company, said there are many methods of capital flight from China. A rather crude method is to directly take cash through Hong Kong, even using vehicles to transport a load of cash over, including moving gold. There are still quite a few, some corrupt officials and business owners are doing this. Because not everyone in every vehicle is checked at the Hong Kong Luoyang customs, finding 10 or 20 runners to carry it over, then exchanging it for US dollars in Hong Kong. Moreover, it is common for Chinese tourists to leave cash overseas while traveling. Gary Ng, a senior economist at the French investment bank Natixis, estimated that up to $150 billion in funds could flow out of the country in this way in 2023. Tourist shock at unfinished building Homestay in Luoyang, owner's response sparks controversy. On March 12, a story about a deceptive homestay in Luoyang resembling an unfinished building sparked widespread discussion on Weibo. Visitors were shocked to discover their booked accommodation was in a barely constructed edifice, leading to a hasty middle-of-the-night departure. Reported by Shanyo News, guest Xiao Xiao narrated her unsettling experience from March 9, where she paid 129 yuan, about $18, for a stay that online appeared as a quaint apartment but in reality was part of a derelict structure. The alarming exterior and an overpowering renovation smell forced her to relocate at 1 a.m. The report noted that, based on Xiao Zhao's clues, the homestay is located in a certain building within the Mingmen XX estate in Luoyang Shigong district. Several homestays operate in the building, with most charging about 200 yuan, approximately $28 per night, though some with better decor charge over 500 yuan, approximately $70. Explaining the situation, operators of several homestays in the same building acknowledged that the exterior was indeed unfinished due to the developer and property management issues. However, they argued that the appearance does not affect the quality of accommodation. We all have normal stays here. It's just that the exterior doesn't look good, resembling an unfinished building. On July 15, 2023, another consumer left a message saying, "Terrible experience, staying on top of an unfinished building, with unfinished construction sites below. It was very dirty, not just uncleaned once, but never properly cleaned, with a pile of hair next to the sofa, and 4 toothbrushes with open packaging in the toothbrush holder, not even worth $80." The business replied, "The ground floor has been repaired, not an unfinished construction site. Despite operators' promises of improvements, recent photos by Xiao Xiao show no change, reigniting debates on consumer rights, safety standards, and the ethics of online advertising in the homestay industry. Chinese medical insurance costs double, leading to a non-payment tide. As the cost of medical insurance for urban and rural residents in China continues to rise, the number of rural residents discontinuing their medical insurance payments is increasing. Village officials have revealed that this year saw the largest decline in insured rural residents and the greatest difficulty in collecting payments in recent years. Many villages have not met the insurance rate targets set by higher authorities. A China National Radio report on March 12 highlighted a trend in rural areas of discontinuing urban and rural residents' medical insurance due to rising costs. In Sangzhou City, Hebei Province, Li Hao paid 380 yuan, approximately $53, for his father's 2024 medical insurance but opted not to insure the rest of his 7-member family due to increasing premiums, which would total 3,040 yuan, approximately $423, for all 8. This decision reflects a broader issue across Hebei, Anhui, Hunan, and other provinces where villagers, facing financial pressures, often insure only the elderly and children. Premiums have risen from 10 yuan, about $1.40, to 380 yuan, approximately $53, per person, leading many to forego coverage. According to data released by the Chinese Communist Party's Medical Insurance Bureau, the number of people insured under urban and rural residents' medical insurance has gradually declined since 2019. Zhao Jun, a village official in Li Hao's village, stated that this year, the decline in the number of insured individuals and the difficulty in collecting payments are the greatest in recent years. The cost of medical insurance has risen from 10 yuan to 380 yuan, triggering a non-payment tide. Since 2019, Zhang Jian, who works at a medical insurance office in a county town in Hebei, said that this year's collection effort has been particularly challenging. Zhang Jian mentioned that in recent years, the county has required the insurance rate to reach more than 95% of the previous year's rate. However, 3 days before this year's payment deadline, none of the towns in the county had met the requirement, with a shortfall of more than 50,000 people. He estimates it will be difficult for the towns to achieve their targets. According to a report by Sohu, medical insurance costs have continuously increased, from 10 yuan per person to 380 yuan per person this year, which is still the minimum value. From a family perspective, just for medical insurance, a family's cost could range from more than 2,000 to 5,000 yuan or even more. The report indicates that the continuous increase in medical insurance costs has led to a non-payment tide in medical insurance, with an expanding trend each year. For example, in 2022, more than 20 million people did not pay for their medical insurance. In mainland China, the issue of medical insurance, which is closely related to people's lives, is fraught with problems. In addition to the non-payment tide in rural areas due to increased medical insurance costs, in cities, medical reforms have significantly reduced the medical benefits of a large number of retired workers, forcing many elderly people to protest in the streets. The medical insurance reform introduced by the Chinese Communist authorities last year, aimed at addressing the deficit in the local employee medical insurance plan, has sparked significant controversy. The related reform policies have triggered large-scale protests in cities like Wuhan, known as the Silver Hair Revolution. Party lines at the box office. Chinese cinemas reserve select positions for party members only. This year, the China Film Archive has made it a requirement for applicants to some of their job openings to be members of the Chinese Communist Party, a policy criticized as hiring only those loyal to the party. Critics argue that this approach, which tightens the grip on ideological and speech freedoms, will harm the film industry's creativity, restricting the freedom to create and suppress intellectual growth. The China Film Archive's website lists 16 job openings for 2024, with several positions explicitly stating that applicants must be CCP members. This includes roles in infrastructure management, software development, event planning, cinema operations, archive management, and academic journal editing. The news has sparked a lot of discussions online. Some people see this as job discrimination, others are concerned that not being a party member could hurt their job prospects, and there are fears that this might lead to the production of only propaganda films. One comment read, "Only loyalists provide peace of mind." The China Film Archive operates under the CCP's Central Propaganda Department. Analysts, like Ying Xianchen from Taiwan's Institute for National Defense and Security Research, believe that such policies will push out talented individuals who wish to contribute creatively to the film industry but do not align politically with the CCP. This could lead to a situation where those within the system might not necessarily be driven by a passion for film, impacting the quality and diversity of Chinese cinema. Taiwanese filmmaker Xiao Ai criticizes the policy, suggesting that it reduces film to a tool for political propaganda, compromising artistic integrity under the CCP's strict controls. Films that could compete on artistic merit and innovation are sidelined in favor of those that align with party ideology, despite potentially causing aesthetic fatigue among viewers tired of politically charged narratives, especially during economic and employment challenges. Films that offer a genuine reflection of society, like Hidden in the Dust and the documentary Working Like This for 30 Years, face censorship for not fitting the official narrative, highlighting a broader issue of restricted creative freedom in China's film industry. Documentary filmmaker Au emphasizes that such restrictions on who can work in the film industry curb the very creativity and freedom of expression necessary for its growth, ultimately hindering the nation's cultural and intellectual development. Don't forget to leave a comment in the section below to share your opinions on today's topic with us. Make sure to like and subscribe to see more interesting topics from China Truths.